Hello and welcome to Monstrosities, a vlog of Tokusatsu. I'm your host, Matt Burkett, and tonight we're hosting a very special live stream from Ito to Sadako, Unmasking J-Horror. We're going to take a brief stroll into the dark world of Japanese horror cinema with some minor detours into manga and even a little bit of Korean horror, K-horror as well. Tonight's stream is not a masterclass, nor is it a humongous comprehensive history of the genre itself. It is literally just going to be a discussion of two super fans that hope to share with you why we love this genre so much and hopefully turn it on to you. You know, if this is the first time that you guys have been exposed to this kind of stuff. We're going to be recommending you some movies, maybe some movies to avoid, pointing in the direction of some great books that you guys should check out, especially those who want to, learn more stuff. There's some great things out there. And maybe close the night off with some questions and recommendations from, you guys in the chat out there. But first, I'm going to be joined by somebody very special. He's here to help make sure that no long-haired ghouls either drag me or you out in the shadows. He's an author. He's a fellow fan and a friend. And he's all the way from Tokyo, Japan. James!
Evening, everybody.
How you doing, man?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's a nice sunny day here in Tokyo, so hopefully no long-haired ghouls come in and, yeet me into the nether realm.
Has there ever been a J-horror where, like, I know that they did that a little bit in, like, some early Ju-on movies, but has there ever been a J-horror movie that's taken place in the day? I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Oh, Pulse.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and that's something that we're gonna get talking to about tonight.
Yes.
James, you and I, technically, this is not the first time you've been on Monstrosities.
No, it's not.
We've done 2 interviews, of which have not appeared because I'm lazy. And all this stuff. But you also did the review for the last Sadako movie that came out last year, I believe it was. But I was wondering, just to introduce everybody introduce yourself to everybody. Who are you? What do you do? What do you like? Why are you here talking about this?
Oh, okay. I ask these questions like every day when I'm talking to students. So, yeah, I'm from the UK, but from Cambridge. But I moved to Japan in 2018, and I'm now an English teacher, teaching English in a conversation school. And I used to live in Hokkaido, and now I live in Tokyo, and it's kind of just been crazy. Living in Japan, getting to explore, and Godzilla store's about 20 minutes away from me now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, by train, so I can go down to the Godzilla store and get whatever I want whenever. And just in my free time, I just basically watch Japanese movies to learn Japanese, and go out to the Japanese pubs, drinking and working, and just enjoy my life. I do a bit of writing as well,
That's right. You're an author. You have several books out.
Yeah. Four. 4 books out. That's not a couple. But yeah, I'm just out here in Japan living and enjoying my life.
That's awesome. Now, what is it about J-horror? I mean, are you a horror movie fan, first and foremost?
Oh yeah, no. In high school, I was a goth kid. So, like, I was an emo goth kid. So, like, I was all into that. But, like, I was, like, into I used to watch a lot of the Italian stuff.
Yeah. Okay. What are some of your favorites before we jump into the Japanese stuff? Like, what are some of your favorites so people can get a taste of your taste in movies?
Oh, well, I liked the Fulci like stuff, like House by the Cemetery and like Zombie Flesh Eaters and all that kind of stuff. That was like what I was into. Yeah. Like all the gruesome, nasty stuff that I would show my friends and be like, And then obviously Dario Argento as well. Dario Argento.
Did you see that Suspiria remake?
I have not. No, I liked it because I like Tom York and Radiohead, so he did the music for it, and I loved some of the music, and I really was interested in seeing what they would do with it because the original was like colourful and like bombastic and just like a fever dream nightmare. So this new one was meant to be a bit more reserved, apparently, or a bit more like I don't know. I want to watch it
a little bit.
Yeah.
Just yeah. I haven't seen either one. I suck as a moviegoer. Yeah, I need to see both. I had a friend in college a couple years ago who absolutely love those movies, and I love talking like horror with him. But he was a major proponent of like Italian horror and stuff. So when it comes to the world of Japanese horror, what are some of your favorites? What got you into it? What makes the genre special to you?
Okay, so I was at university at the time, and I was studying Japanese in like an evening class just for a bit of fun. Went towards my grade. You could pick a language to choose, and my sensei just said like, "Oh, watch Japanese movies." And at the time, I saw like a horror fix, and I went to like my local, essentially like my bargain basement bin sort of secondhand store, and they had Ring. Like the whole Ring series, like Ring 2, Ring 0, and that was it for the time. They didn't have Razin out. And then they had
were those the Tartan video releases?
The Tartan ones, yeah. Asia Extreme.
Yeah,
ones,
that's right.
Those ones, yeah. And like, I think the total set, like, because I bought them individually, the total set probably only came to like £3, which is like $5, because it was just each individual. Yeah, it was like 50 pence, £1, and then £1.50 or something crazy like that. So like I got the whole like original set for like, nothing pretty much.
That's awesome.
And I was aware of things like Ring and stuff like that. Like I'd seen, like, we had that show, the Bravo Top 100 Scariest Moments.
Yes.
And of course the bit when she crawls out the TV was like the big one.
Right.
But I remember first time watching Ring, I forgot that it happened in the movie. So I'm like watching it, I'm like, what is this really like melodramatic kind of like thriller about like a woman, like, where's the ghost? And then of course like the thing happens at the end. I'm like, oh
yeah,
oh no. I was like, oh no, wait, what? But of course I was like, oh, this is happening now, sort of thing. So yeah, I will admit, like, it's a bit basic. I did get into it because of Ring and Grudge, Ju-on. But that's the thing as well, like, I only ever saw the Japanese versions. I've never seen the American versions of these movies. So,
wow.
If anyone watching is like, oh yeah, I remember like Pulse not being great, and I'm like, it was probably the American one you watched, or or like, I don't know anything about like the Samara stuff with the Ring from America and stuff.
Oh
like
yeah.
Like, I'm totally just 100% Japanese version because I was learning Japanese at the time, so it made sense to watch the Japanese version. Well, and also I'm a purist.
Well, yeah, just real quick, and we can touch about it later. But the original, The Ring, the American remake, I think is worth watching. The less said about The Ring 2, the better. And what's really sad about that is that's the one that Hideo Nakata directed. And then they did Rings back in 2017, and I kind of liked that on the level of just like I enjoyed that they were taking some stuff from the Ring mythos, like the book and things. I'm not saying it was a great movie, but as a fan, you know how it is. Like as a Godzilla fan, you watch all these movies. Most of them aren't great. Well, I'm probably going to get crucified for saying that, but some of them are not great. And you just are like, yeah, but it's still something. It's still something.
Yeah.
So, just to tell people in the chat here, some of the movies that we're going to talk about, we're definitely going to hit some of the heavy hitters. Ring, Ju-on. We're going to talk a little bit of Junji Ito, just a little bit. Some Korean horror. And then some random kind of recommendations from the both of us about just other random things. So like I said, not a comprehensive history, but you and I are both huge Ring fans, right?
Yes.
And this is a thing that started back in the early to mid 90s with the novel by Koichi Suzuki, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And books, how many books? Sorry, I got it right here. There are 6 books, I think, in the series.
Yes.
You got, like, there was television miniseries. You had the series of films. You have the manga. Like, it's all over the place. But I think it really, really hit big when in 98 you had Nakata come out, Hideo Nakata, which is a name that you're going to hear a lot this stream, I think. But that Ring debuted in 98 along with Razin Spiral.
Yes.
But Tell everybody a little bit about Ring. Like this, in my opinion, this is one of the greatest horror movies ever made. It's definitely one of in my top 10. But tell everybody why they need to see this movie, why it's so amazing.
Well, I'm guessing from the chat, I'm seeing some people there like, oh, we're talking about Ring. Come on, guys. Like,
are they?
I think they're being a bit facetious, but you know what I mean. It's all good. I think Yeah, we'll get. No, I think there's some good recommendations. Got Darth Gojira is
Oh
coming out
yeah,
with some
yeah,
good
yeah, yeah. But
stuff. Yeah,
he says,
and we're also
oh,
we're
sorry.
also talking. Oh, sorry. We're also looking at the Bloodthirsty trilogy. All very nice. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but I think obviously I think most people here know about Ring. I think it is just like it was the trendsetter. It was the trendsetter for J horror. Like
It really was.
it's the Friday the 13th. It's the Nightmare on Elm Street movie. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like
no, it
it's the
totally
one
is.
that started everything, and then everything after it was like, oh, we need to do this. We need to do what Ring did, sort of thing, to kind of keep up with the trend. And that's kind of how we got Ju-on as well. But Ju-on was based off a book as well.
Was it really?
Or there was like a tie-in book that kind of fit in with it, I believe. Because I've read the book. There is a book, I have read it. Like, you know. And I did hallucinate that.
I should just say to Darth Gojira. I mean, I told you this, James, beforehand, because Darth Gojira started off the stream with looking forward to this. Let's talk Goku, Kaiwadan, Anibaba, and all those classics. And I was telling James, I'm like, he's gonna hate this stream because I got none of those on my list. You know, it's a J horror stream, and all we're talking about is like modern stuff. But again, it's just this is kind of an overview, not so much.
No, nothing too serious.
Have you seen any of those movies that he mentioned, by the way? Jigoku, Kaiwadan, or Anibaba?
You know what? I would love to say yes, but I bought Kwai-Don on DVD.
Same.
It just sat on my shelf. It sat on my shelf. Like I got a really nice. It was it was a BFI Classics. So like it had like all these extra features, like British Film Institute, like interviews, historical stuff, like going into the depth about the story and things like that. And it just sat on my shelf, and then I moved to Japan. And I was like, oh, it's gone now. I could buy it in Japanese, but I want to watch it first so I understand what's going on. Onibaba, I've seen bits of it, but I've never seen it in full, which is kind of annoying sort of thing for me, because I really want to. Like, it's very atmospheric. I love the imagery of it, like, you know, the mask and like the So like just it's really, really good.
Our buddy Jason G mentions that Titan Goji, who is a good friend of the channel, and also congratulations to Titan Goji for reaching 10,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
A huge milestone. We love Titan Goji here at Monstrosities. But he did a fantastical review of Anibaba that you guys should go check out. I'm in the same boat as you. I haven't dived a lot into some of the older stuff. And full disclosure, I'm kind of apprehensive about some of this stuff. And I know that we're going to get a lot of people not really liking my opinions, but here's just the bottom line.
Yeah.
I don't find a lot of the show stuff all that entertaining. Sometimes I am pleasantly surprised. Yeah. But sometimes it's kind of slow moving. It's not very good. The last time I was told to go see a super atmospheric horror movie that was just so amazing, I put Matango into my DVD player, and it hasn't really been the same since. I was not a fan of that. But like Anibaba is one that always comes up. Hausu from the 70s is one that has it seems to be getting a resurgence lately. A lot of people
I have seen House.
How's that one?
It's fucking crazy. Sorry, can I swear on?
You can now.
Oh, good. It's gone. Pretense is out the window. Yeah, it's crazy. It's horrific in the fact you don't understand really what's happening, and it's like a movie where like every time I watch it, it's like, this is the scene where the disembodied head bites the woman on the backside, and this is the bit where the piano like there is a story, but it's all kind of encapsulating just this crazy kind of like ghostly shenanigans, and it's very how can I describe? It's very psychedelic and very like, you know, abstract in the way it presents the information. It's Gojira fan 54. House is indeed crazy, but it's good crazy. It's good crazy.
It's one that that word psychedelic comes up a lot whenever I hear people talk about it, you know. But a lot of those older ones, I still need to educate myself on for sure. I can tell you that my love for this came probably the same way as you. You know, I was first exposed to the Ring movies, you know, which I know is very general and basic. But the thing is, I don't know if everybody really knows how extensive the franchise really is. Which, by the way, you guys should go pick this up. This is from Arrow. There's a box set that has the 4 Japanese movies on it. Doesn't include the Korean remake, which I also want to talk about. But you know, they just think, oh yeah, The Ring, whatever. But like, there's so much more than that. You know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of prequel stuff that was done, and a whole bunch of really weird sequel stuff, and it gets all Matrixy in the novels. I mean, it really is nuts how this goes. But like, for me, Nakata's Ring is one of the most beautiful horror movies ever made. It's atmospheric. It sounds great. It's just dripping with atmosphere. And you know, back in the old movie review days when I was doing my Apology hack thing, I came up with this whole thing called the IE rule, which is atmosphere is everything. And that movie just, in my opinion, does it to a T.
Yeah, no, definitely. I like what Ring does in terms of like, it starts out as like a murder mystery thriller.
Yeah.
It is a murder mystery thriller throughout. Like, it's not just straight up horror. The ending is horror.
Yeah.
But everything between that is like almost psychological. You know, like you know, the only real sort of like, because at the beginning it's like everyone has a heart attack.
Right.
You know, it's like it's circumstantial. And then you take a picture, and then like your face is all distorted, and that's when the paranormal stuff kind of kicks in. And I kind of just I really enjoy that kind of like slow burn thriller style to it, because it's not about jump scares. It's not about like you know, like ooga booga sort of like jumping out at you and like scaring the shite out of you, just because, you know, it needs to scare you every 5 minutes, 10 minutes with a big noise. It generally slow burns and builds. That's also kind of where like the first Ju-on movie as well. They both handled tension really well, and they also built up the characters to a point where you care about them if something happens to them.
And I would agree with that, especially with Ring. And honestly, with Ju-on, I know we're going to be kind of skipping around here, but that's a series that I have watched out of order. I've seen like one of the Kurt films, and then I saw the first Grudge movie, and then I kind of dropped off after that because it seemed like they were remaking the same story like 50 times.
But
we can get that in a second. But one of the things, like, these are the two major ones, you know, Ringu and Ju-on. In your viewing experience, because I was having trouble trying to come up with something on my end, do you think that there is another movie, doesn't have to be a franchise, but another J-horror movie that is as strong in, say, like the character and the atmosphere aspects like that those movies have? Like, is there another film that is able to kind of like, that is as good as those in terms of those aspects?
Yeah, Pulse, Cairo.
Pulse. Okay, yeah.
Pulse. It's got that same sort of tension, and it starts, and it's about like, you know, ghosts. Like, you watch this, you kind of like access this like live stream. It's like, I think it's the right one. Yeah, it's like, do you want to see a ghost?
It's basically the apocalypse by the way of ghosts, you know?
And it's like, it drives you to suicide. And I feel it's such a powerful commentary on Japanese culture and like, you know, the stress, and it makes you reserved and like depressed. And I liked that kind of slow build. Once again, the slow build tension. It's people think it's just people killing themselves because they're depressed, but it turns out to be ghosts. I love just like the apocalyptic nature of it. Like, you know.
That was, of course, directed by sorry, I'm looking at the freaking book. Kiyoshi Kurosawa. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think I've only seen Pulse, Cairo, which was adapted into an American film in the early 2000s when all the Japanese horror films were being brought over.
I've seen it. It was just like, oh my god, like it was like too over the top.
If I'm not mistaken, I mean, I know we're kind of diverting here, but that series has like 3 sequels. Like, there's like 2 direct-to-video Pulse movies that are sequels to the American theatrical movie, which is
okay.
I know that,
don't know anything about that.
Jamie Bamber from Battlestar Galactica, who plays Apollo, is in one of those. If you're a Battlestar fan at all, it's I've never bothered with it, but it's something.
No.
Have you watched much Kiyoshi Kurosawa? The reason why I ask is because like this is another guy that oftentimes comes up in conversations. I find a lot of his work to be very slow sometimes. Like Pulse is great. It's not as slow as other movies, but there are, like, I do remember seeing Cure forever and a half ago, and I've been wanting to see it again. But what's your exposure and your opinion of him as a director and his other works?
I'm just Googling Pulse see what other movies he's done, because I haven't seen Pulse in a long time. It's like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah,
so
it's long.
It's a slog. It's a bit of a slog, but in a good way slog. So I'm just having a look at his filmography, because I might have perchance seen something else of his without realizing it was one of his movies.
For those of you out there, go check out this book. This is another one that I would recommend checking out. Mostly it's about the writer just going through the whole guy, all of Kurosawa's filmography. But there is an interview with the director at the very end, and I don't think it's like ridiculously overpriced right now. But Kiyoshi Kurosawa is another dude, like we were talking about with Nakata, whose name pops up a whole heck of a lot when you're talking about the good J horror that's out there right now.
Okay. I have on my watch list Cure, his movie Cure from 1997. It's on my watch list to watch. Apparently, that's meant to be really, really good.
I know I saw it forever and a half ago, but I had forgotten about it. I just remember it being slow, but I'm like, I don't care. I need to rewatch it again.
Yeah. Because I've seen the poster with the guy with the X carved into his neck, and I was like, that's so cool. I need to watch that. It's on Netflix. And like here in Japan, it's on Netflix. So I was like, add to list.
Mazer Patrol recommends Sweet Home. I completely forgot about that. I do know that was made into a Nintendo game back in the day, which apparently was banned in the States because it was like so graphic. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have seen the poster for this before. It's one of because it inspired Resident. Well, they say it inspired Resident Evil in a way.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I forgot about that too. So.
Yeah, okay, so that's another one. Thank you, chat, for the watch list recommendations. I've already got like thousands and thousands already on there, so thank you for adding it.
Mabus Cat agrees. Love the film Sweet Home. I think, I'm starting to think that Chad's seen more J horror than either you or I, or at least myself. I'm oh yeah, Ringu, and everyone's like,
yeah.
Talk Amibaba.
Get on my level.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on, like hit me with the good stuff already. I know we're kind of jumping around here, but just kind of going back to the Ring films real quick. If I remember correctly from one of the many conversations that we've had, your favorite of the series is actually not the first one.
Nope.
You actually enjoy number 2 the most.
Yes, I do.
Can you just tell people, just again, there might be people who don't know, but like the weird sequel thing going on with the original Ring, like with Razin and then Ring 2 and all that stuff?
Well, because Razin bombed, because the first Ring movie was really successful, and then Razin came out at the same time, and everyone was like, what's this got to do with Ring? Like, because they were just polar opposites. So obviously, Nakata came back and was like, made a movie more in line with the first movie, and I like it because it does the aliens thing. Like, the first movie is like literally like, slow burn, haunted house kind of thriller. The second movie just takes everything and just go like, it just expands on everything. And I just love, like, they build up the psychic abilities more, which are kind of hinted at. And I'm like, it just builds up so much more and just adds so much more to what we know from the first one. And there's lots of resolutions in the movie, like, from the first movie.
That's right, there is, isn't there? I forgot about that. I just remembered there's something I wanted to show you, actually. See if I can actually pull it out here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, got this on the last trip. Just thought you might think it's kind of cool.
Oh, nice one. Yeah.
It's freaking awesome. It's just a theater program. But
yeah. Oh, by the way, Gojira Fan 54 mentions Teki Teki, which is Teki Teki, I think, is the cut-faced woman with the scissors, I believe.
Oh, okay,
Or is she the one that crawls on a, like, because there's loads of urban legend horrors out there.
Right,
really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
I just saw some books on Amazon, actually, that apparently there's like a 2-volume set that actually talks all about that. And I really actually wanted to pick that up and kind of learn a little bit more about it. But sorry, I'm looking to see. I know I have one other thing I wanted to show you.
It's the one that crawls. Thanks, Goji Fan 54.
Sorry, 54. I'm not trying to show off stuff, be like, whoa, whatever. But this is like, I don't know, it's just kind of neat. It's a book. Have you seen this one before?
Oh, no, I'm not. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's silly. It's like on the back, it's like, the VHS tape. But from what I understand, actually, there's some like pretty nasty pictures in here. This is actually a compilation of all the unused Ring 2 sequel ideas, and then they just compile it into a book. And a lot of good it's going to do me since it's all in Japanese. But for 108 yen, I'll freaking take it.
Oh god, yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah. So I think people probably want us to move away from Ring. So let me just say, Ring Zero, I thought was awesome. I think that was a really good. Ring 2, I liked okay. I think everything after Ring Zero is when I just kind of drop off. Like,
Oh yeah, no. Oh God's sake, I watched Sadako 3D.
I'm sorry.
Oh, why? I don't know why. I already watched it once. I don't know why I did it to myself again. It was just like I just like the Sadako zombies, spider crawling zombies at the end, and I was just like, oh no. Although the best part is, I realized the lead actress, is Kayako Ann Patterson.
Really?
She's yeah. I was like fascinated by that. It's the same actress. She did so well in that role because she looks like a proper like homeschool teacher sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then I think of her in Shin Godzilla, and it's like she's a bratty sort of American politician.
Right.
But she's a really good character actor. Actually, I've seen her in a couple other Japanese movies, and she's
funny too. She's in the Attack on Titan movies, and I didn't even recognize
she's totally
her.
different. Yeah, she's a really good character actor.
Totally different.
Yeah, but that was no. That was a no, big no for me. By the way, Matt, just to jump in here.
Yeah.
If we're going to move on to Ju-On, there was something new in the Ju-On universe. There was Ju-On Origins on Netflix. Did you watch it?
I did not yet. My buddy Norman telling me that it was not so great, or rather, he said everybody was saying it was so good, and he didn't understand because he didn't like it. But Norman, curmudgeon like me. But that's the new Netflix series, and we have that here in the States too, if anybody wants to go check it out. But what is it? Like, tell me about it. Like, I have yet to see it. So
basically, it's the prequel to all of the Grudge series. It's how the house kind of got cursed.
Interesting.
Initially, like the initial curse. Because obviously the curse repeats, but there was an initial point before Kayako and all that caused the curse to happen. And the first 3 episodes are pretty like... there's not a lot going on. And it's only 6 to 8 episodes long. So you're kind of like, it's like... And then episode 4, something happened in episode 4 that I was just like... no. And after that, I was like, I need to watch every episode. It's really good. It's got a lot of the... kind of like the... what should I say? The... kind of the bite that was missing from like some of the horror that I've watched. Like, it's really gruesome. It goes in hard on like the gore and the violence and the dark side of the curse. Nasty things happen in it. Like, it is one of those that be prepared for unpleasant things happening to people in that. But like, if you don't like certain things, if you're kind of more like just about the jump scares, I wouldn't watch it because it's a lot more intense. Like, even I was like a bit like I've seen like like I said, like I watched like Italian horror and stuff.
Right.
Like, people are getting their eyes gouged out by like wooden splints and stuff. And even I was a bit like, no, sort of thing.
So, okay, that's kind of interesting. That the fact that it actually goes beyond like the Kayako thing. So you're the Ju-On guy. So I'm gonna have to ask this because I'm gonna sound like I'm a complete just like that I'm writing this whole thing off. But like I said earlier, I've only seen the American Grudge movies. I know I've seen 1 and 2. I don't think I saw 3. That got me into seeing Ju-On the Grudge, and then the first one, and then Ju-On the Curse. And just for those of you guys at home, go look up just the freaking list of these movies, because there's like Ju-On the Curse 1 and 2, Ju-On the Grudge 1 and 2, Ju-On Black Ghost, White Ghost, the beginning of the end, the final curse, Sadako versus Kayako. Now there's Origins, and my very uneducated takeaway has always been like they just seemingly are remaking the same thing over and over again. Is that a fair assessment? Like, teach me, because like honestly, I love the idea of it, but I just it's like a one trick pony for me.
Okay, well, each like White Ghost, Black Ghost deals with a different curse. Like, it's a different kind of atmosphere. Like, I watched White Ghost, and it was effective, but that went hardcore. That kind of got a bit gruesome, even for me. Like, I was a bit like, I can't really watch
Wow.
this one. It's getting a bit intense. Like, there's things involving, like, it just made my skin crawl a bit too much. So I couldn't enjoy it as much as I probably wanted to. Maybe I'll go soft in my old age. But yeah, no, it is pretty, like, I think the second Ju-on movie, like Ju-on 2, kind of spoils a lot of that kind of atmosphere. Like, the first one's great. The second one I watched and I was just like, I'm not feeling anything. This is just kind of dumb. And then I watched White Ghost. I thought that was good. I still haven't watched a lot of the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Like the continuation of the original series. I kind of looked at the spin-offs more because I thought they were more interesting to kind of enjoy and watch.
Totally. I'm gonna have to check out Origins now because now you kind of got my interest with that.
Because the thing is as well, like going back to Ring. Because go back to what we know.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
with Sadako, like the one that came out last year, it didn't have any bite to it. It was that teen scream kind of like really bare bones kind of horror. Like,
that's the one that knocked it out. Direct came back and directed too, right?
But it just rehashed the first movie, and then nothing really scary happened in it. Like, even the ending was just a bit like, I didn't. It was, but like I said, I think I said in the review we did. Like, I was like the high school kids that were there were like, oh, kawaii, sort of thing. They were loving it, but I was just sat there like, could something happen, please? Could just something interesting happen, please? Like, I've seen this all before. Like, but yeah, no. Just to shout out Rainey there, he says Ju-on as a series isn't easy to follow, and it's true. It's not. I wouldn't really bother watching them in any kind of order. Like,
we need to get Alex on at some point. She doesn't give herself enough credit, but she's very knowledgeable about like tons of Japanese cinema and tokusatsu.
Yeah. Oh, Rainey also mentioned Noroi as well. Noroi. That is, it's called Cursed or The Curse.
Okay.
And it's a found footage movie. I still haven't seen it. It's on my watch list. I want to watch it. So sorry, I don't think it'll be brought up, unfortunately, Rainey. But yeah, it's on my watch list. I really want to see it. Apparently, it's like critically acclaimed. Everyone loves it. It's, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm feeling like I'm being schooled here. Like I should have like done like way more research or something. But again,
this is why we said it's not a masterclass.
Exactly. No, we're not Patrick freaking Galvin over here. You know,
no.
We're just a couple of. Well, I can speak for myself. I'm a nerd, just being like, I love Japanese movies. I never watch any of them, but I love them. You know,
same.
Now that you brought up Noroi, I kind of feel like maybe I did see a trailer was it a couple years ago, chat? That came out, because I feel like I tried to get Max to watch it or spur his interest, and he's just like, there's no robots in it, and then it just kind of like, it just kind of like we didn't really ever do anything with it. But I would like to see that actually. Well, we've already talked about the two of them. What about Sadako versus Kayako?
Oh, I can see the chat is raging over the battle is raging. There is a huge battle going on at the moment for which is better, Freddy versus Jason. Well, I said to you last time, my experience of watching Sadako versus Kayako was heightened by the fact I watched a slightly not legal version of it.
That's right.
Right. And the subtitles, when they go through the Shinto priestess, I should say, was all Harry Potter spells. So I went like. That's the thing like about versus movies. Like, I don't go into them taking them too seriously. Like I kind of go into them just like this is the point where they peaked. They peaked in their horror. They're just slamming them together now, like like I used to do with my Godzilla toys. It's just like it's your dream matchup. I thought it was quite fun. I thought it was good. Like I wasn't meant to be. I didn't expect it to be scary. But then I watched Freddy versus Jason, and I didn't expect it to be scary. I thought it was fun. Right. But you know what I mean? Like, I never took it seriously going in, and at this point the characters were kind of burnt out because they'd done everything they could scary with them, and the franchises were coming to a close. So it's just give one big stupid hurrah and then see what happens next, sort of thing, I guess.
I would have to agree with you on that. Speaking as a person who has seen Freddy versus Jason, I think that movie is all sorts of just balls to the wall fun. Like I think it's super cool. As far as Sadako versus Kayako goes, I'm not a big fan, but I still bought the freaking Blu-ray, because I'm just a person like that. And I know we've kind of mentioned this before on here, but the best thing about that movie series was like the promotional stuff they did beforehand, because they did like the baseball game with the ghosts.
Yeah, I saw that.
The Chuan Ghost family has an Instagram where they're taking selfies at the park and stuff, and makeup and smiling and all this everything. For me, it's a little disappointing, but at the same time, when you put the label on it like you did, where it's like it's a freaking versus movie, what are you going to expect out of it? I just kind of wish that ending just was a little bit written differently. You know what I mean? But
I think
it's just bad.
I think at that point as well, like I didn't mind the final fight. I kind of enjoyed it. It kind of played into the tropes and like, whatever. But the jump scare ending, when it turns out they've been merged into one curse, it's very American. It was very, very American.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing as well. A lot of Japanese movies, like in the middle period, it kind of switched. All the American movies were trying to do the Japanese remakes, and then all the Japanese movies were trying to be more American sort of thing, like poppier and flashier and like,
that's true,
more special effects sort of thing. So it kind of was like a weird turning point. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know about it. I don't know. I didn't like the ending, like the final shot. I was like, that's just stupid, But yeah, but then again, I kind of looked back at the movie and was like, that was all just stupid. Why are you complaining?
Right. And at some points, you gotta, there is a point where you can look back at that and be like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be quite as critical on this as I could be, But that's something that I've noticed is like there hasn't really been a lot of bite lately with current J horror stuff. Now, this is again coming from the guy who hasn't really seen much lately, except for things like Sadako versus Kayako. Talking to you extensively about the Sadako movie from last year. But you have these characters that at one point were kind of the pinnacle. I hate to say Freddy versus Jason, but I mean these really just these characters that people are like, oh, these are good characters, and they've kind of devolved into just
cliches.
Alien versus Predator fare, really.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, have you seen anything like? What is your take on the modern stuff now? Stuff that's been within the past, 3-4 years. Stuff that's been coming out now. Is it alive and well? Is it going to that more American side that you had just mentioned before?
I think it kind of goes on the American side a little bit more. And it is more about the jump scare, the shocks, getting teens in seats. But I think the actual, like, the image, like, it's iconography here. As much as we have the machete and, like, you have the machete and the hockey mask, or the knife and, like, the spray-painted, like, Shatner mask, like, in the West, and, like, the glove and the hat. Like, I vividly remember I was teaching a group of, like, elementary to junior high school kids, and it was a little while ago, and they were like, oh, Sensei, what movie do you like? And I said as a joke, oh, I like Sadako. And literally everyone went, and then one girl, she had very long black hair, and she just put her hair down and did the eye thing, and she started doing that to all the kids, and they're like freaking out. So it's like in the public consciousness. Like, it's still there. Even like with like little kids, they know the characters, they know the people. Like just the other day, I was chatting with some of the staff, and we were joking about something, and then one of my coworkers, a Japanese coworker, she said that she was hearing like a weird ringing noise in her ear, because I think the phone was going off or something like that. Something was up. So the other staff member, she starts doing the Kayako croak from the back room. So it's all in the public consciousness. It's all kind of like, a joke sort of thing here, and it's all kind of like part of pop culture here, as much as our ones are. So yeah, but I feel like because it's in the pop culture, there's nothing really you can do new with it, unless you just kind of reinvent the wheel, which it's kind of hard to do.
That is true. That is true. Have you read? I know you've read a handful of the Ring novels, right? You've read at least the first.
Oh, I've read the first. I read Ring, Spiral, Loop, Birthday, and S, which is the fifth one, and then the sixth one, Tide, hasn't been released yet. I was translating it, but I just gave up because life kind of got crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, because it's only available in Japan, so
gotcha.
Yeah, I can't read it in English. But the first 5 have been translated into English. So
how do you like those in comparison to the franchise, to the movies?
I think the books go in weird directions, which are interesting, but the translation makes it kind of stilted.
Yeah.
So the translation of the novels is fine, but it's very basic. I don't get the same atmosphere. There's some beautiful scenery. Like, I vividly remember the beginning of the first Ring novel because it's so beautifully written. Like, you know, like the veins of the oil, the refinery, like over the.
Yep.
It's so beautiful, and like the building terror. I used it in one of my when I was teaching in England. I used it in one of like we for a Halloween task. It was like write the opening to a scary novel. So I used it as an example, like, you know, of horror writing.
Right.
And one of my kids in that class actually wrote a really, really nice, like, really good horror thing based off of that. It was pretty good,
That's
actually.
awesome.
So yeah. So I used it as an example in one of my classes as like to write a good horror opening because it's just so effective. It's so well done. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I've only got up to, I know you already know this, I only got up to like the first third of Loop, and Loop is for those of you who don't know, it goes super crazy. It goes basically turns the whole Ring franchise into the Matrix, and Sadako is a computer virus
Yes.
who then happens to jump into the real world. Like James said, it goes into weird places, you know. But it's worth checking out, I think, for people who are into that kind of stuff and into the franchise and want to learn more about it and everything, because they've cherry picked, they being like the American movie series and stuff, they've cherry picked things from the book series to like insert into their mini a sequel, you know.
And even with the
Especially
mainline Japanese movies, they cherry picked certain bits because obviously they didn't want a lot of it going in.
right. No, that is for sure. I just like Darth Gojira's comment here. Never a fan of body horror or jump scares. What makes Ring so good is the backstory, learning through the reporter's eyes the tale of Sadako, and of course her emerging from the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And that was done specifically for the movie. In the novel, there is no ghost. No, spoiler alert. There is no ghost. It's just, yeah. I want to spoil something about it so bad. I still, to this day, I just think it's the most ridiculous part of that story. But at the same time, it's like I'll tell you about it later. I don't want to spoil it for anybody out there.
No. Paul Tackett's asked something for me.
Oh, what do we got?
Onyoji or Onyoji 2?
Oh, here we go.
Sorry, Paul. I have not seen those. No, I have not seen those, unfortunately. I think I might have heard the name. Oh God, this is so bad. We were all hyping ourselves up, and like, everyone's like throwing stuff out. I've never heard of that before.
Full disclosure, you know, I feel like most of my viewership is obviously old kaiju. You got some tokusatsu.
Yeah.
But I think everyone that came here tonight already. And by the way, thank you for everybody who came. I'm not sitting here being like, you guys are the wrong audience. But I think that they already have, you know, they've already jumped into this stuff. And truthfully, you know, I don't really know how well received this stream is going to be. You know, I want to talk. Yeah. I've always enjoyed talking about this stuff.
With you. No, definitely.
But like, it's definitely more of a niche kind of thing. And not every Godzilla fan is going to want to be like, oh, you know, who cares about J horror or whatever. But but yeah, you're right. I am feeling pretty schooled right now. But this is why we have people like Titan Goji who goes and watches every single Japanese genre film known to man. So the rest of us don't have to.
Yeah. God bless him. God bless him.
God bless him. Again, Davis is awesome. You guys should go check him out. I'm looking at my list here. Do we want to talk Junji Ito at all? Which I'm sure everyone will be like, oh, Junji Ito. Everybody knows him. Blah, blah, blah.
I was actually just gonna field some other because after the big J horror boom, just to keep it on movies for a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's fine.
There were a few. Hold on, I'm putting you on the side there. Sorry, Matt, I'm putting you on the side. I'm used to it. There's this thing called I think it was like the J horror theater film series. Is anyone in chat? Does anyone know about that in chat? You seem to know about anything else. You know about everything else. I really hope this might be the thing that I can be like, yes, I know this one, and no one else does. But the J horror theater was like a series of movies after the initial boom of Ring, Ju-on, and like Cairo and stuff from like the mid 2000s to like the later 2000s. And it started with this film called Infection,
Heard of that one.
2004. I've seen Infection, Premonition, and Reincarnation. They're like the three main ones that kind of are available, sort of thing. And it's really good. If you get a chance, check it out. My personal favorites are Premonition and Reincarnation. They are two very, very good movies. Infection is good, but it tries to do too many twists with its story in
Gotcha.
the end. It started out as a really good, like, it's very body horror, Infection, as well. Like, there's some fantastic imagery. It's like set in a rundown hospital. Like, the patients aren't being looked after properly. A strange patient comes in and, like, they're oozing green slime, and it gets messy. And then, like, people start going crazy. It gets very messy. But I
That's
love
right.
it just because it's like very like visceral, very visceral horror.
Right.
Premonition is very tragic horror. It's about a father who tries to, like, he loses his daughter and stuff in a horrible crash, but he sees it in the newspaper as well. There's a newspaper clipping of it happening, so he tries to stop it, and it's like this whole like trying to stop fate kind of story, which it's really good, really, really good, really stark imagery in that one as well, which I really enjoy.
I think they had some DVD releases here at one point in the States, I feel. And I feel like maybe
Yeah,
I owned Infection at one point, but I never actually got to watch it. And
Tartan Extreme. Tartan
yeah,
Extreme for me, it was just always those guys going back to Tartan. Like, they did a really good job with them. And Reincarnation, I think, was the best because it did that like, it did that kind of like thriller, because it's based around a crime, and
yeah.
then it builds into like the horror stuff sort of thing, which I really enjoy. It takes the Ring formula and runs with it quite well. So I really like Reincarnation the best. It's the best kind of drama slash. It's about they're making a movie about the murders,
Hmm.
but it's set in the same place, like, and then things start happening the way they did in the hotel, and it starts turning into, it's basically reincarnations of the murder, and it's really
Interesting.
tense, really well done movie. I thought
Who
I
directed
enjoyed
that?
it.
You know?
I'm gonna have to Google that.
Sorry.
um, Takashi Shimizu.
Oh, he's the guy that did the Ju-on movies, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's another
Yes.
name that's always popping up,
So
and
there we go. Yeah,
that's
and he
awesome.
did a. Oh. Speaking of Ito, he did Tomie Rebirth.
That's a whole freaking movie series. I read the
Yeah.
manga, but I never saw the bajillion movies that followed that. Uh,
Yeah. No.
no, that's awesome though. I'll have to yeah, again, we're being schooled here tonight by the chat, but this is half the fun of just discovering new things. But uh,
Yeah. No.
as far as like the Ito stuff goes, like you brought up the Tomie thing.
Mm.
Ito is a manga artist. It seems like everybody in the chat already knows who he is, but I'm just going to say he's has artwork that is just mesmerizingly nightmarish.
Yep.
I think that a lot of his long form stories are way better than his short stories, and I think most of these have been translated into English. So you got things like Uzumaki, Spiral. You got things like Gyo, which I'm sure if you guys have seen the spider shark, the spider great white sharks on the internet, that's exactly what it's from. And then the Tomie series, which I really enjoy. But Uzumaki especially, that was actually done into a movie in 2001, right here. It was directed by a guy named Higuchinsky, guy who like turned like just a one name thing, added like some English little twang to it a little bit. Have you seen the movie?
No.
No.
It's on my watch list. It's on my watch list. I've read the manga. I've read the
Yeah,
manga,
no,
I promise.
the
Yeah.
manga is freaking like intense. It's disturbing.
It's
It's really
my second favorite. It's my second favorite of the initial three that he's done.
what are your favorites?
Gyo is my favorite because it's the first one that I saw of his work. So like, it's the initial kind of like, oh wow, like, like this is amazing, I love it.
There's some
And then
really good stuff in that one.
I think someone just said, Rainey just said, Gyo is somewhat traumatizing.
Yes.
And it is. It's very grim. It's very grim. Like, and I like it. I like. What was it? What was the one? There's Uzumaki, the second one. That's my second favorite. I thought the ending kind of fell a bit flat for me. It kind of felt like it was running out of steam a little bit by the
Way
end.
better than the movie, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, okay.
I'll get to that in a second, but keep going.
And then Tomie is the third. Because the thing about Tomie is it was a serial. So
Yeah.
it's kind of, it has that thing like with like Ju-on, it just kind of keeps repeating its kind of pattern. It's like Tomie appears, something weird happens. Oh, she's a bit strange, like, you know, and then it turns out we know what's going to happen.
Totally.
But it has one of my favorite ones. It's the one where the little girl Tomie's convince people to like fight for them and like try and keep. That is my favorite thing of all time. I just love it so much. I love it so much. It's so silly, but it's like Ito's kind of humor slipping in there as well, which I enjoy. He has like fun with it. Like, you know, he has fun.
He does have a weird sense of humor.
Yeah.
I don't know so much if it comes out in Uzumaki, but especially in things, like some of his short story collections like Shivers. I would say in Gyo, like the ending for me is like just the ending imagery just got so freaking bizarre. I'm just like, what even is this anymore? With
like in the circus tent.
Yeah, the circus. Yeah, all of that.
Oh, I love that. I love that kind of weird, like transcendental sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, totally. But Tomie does the same thing. It goes like from serious to whatever in this kind of weird Twilight Zone kind of thing. But with Uzumaki, like that's got to be my top. I think a lot because of the fact that that's the first one I read of his too. So kind of like with the movie, it's really well edited and put together. There's like a lot of little subtle things going on in it that like if you blink, you miss it. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of really cool stuff in there. But because the manga hadn't concluded by that point, they had to kind of like make up their own ending. And I feel like it just kind of like builds and builds and builds, and then it just stops, you know?
Oh, okay.
It's worth checking out. And I think one of the problems I have with a lot of J horror movies, and this is where potentially I'm going to lose people. They're going to be hitting that dislike button. But like, I feel like some of these movies really do lose steam rather fast. Not all of them, you know, things like Ring and some of the Ju-on movies and some other ones that we talked about. But they have like a decent premise, but then they just stretch it out for like 2 hours, and it's either they don't know how to end it or they don't know how to fill in the rest of the gaps of the story, you know? And that's just my personal opinion, and I'm probably like completely wrong on that in a lot of cases. But Uzumaki is worth checking out just for the visual style alone. He also did a made for TV movie that was based off of one of Ito's works as well, and of course I'm forgetting what it is, but it's the one where the guy's like turning into like the next evolution. Like whenever he sleeps, he dreams he like turns into the next stage of evolution in humanity.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
I've yet to see it, but I've heard it's really actually quite good for what it is. It was shot on video, super low budget, but I heard it was like very like Outer Limits, which catches my attention a lot. I would really like to see it.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. But I've heard of it. I've heard like the premise probably mentioned a couple times, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, and the name's escaping me right now, but it's still pretty okay. Was there any other like J horror movies off the top of your head that you would want to recommend to people? I'm looking at my list here because we mentioned Cairo.
One Missed Call.
I haven't seen that one. How is that one?
See, the thing is, like, One Missed Call was one of those movies that, like, I read online. It's like, don't watch it. It's derivative. It just takes out everything. But I really enjoyed it. I like, you know, once again, it had a really bad American redo.
Yeah.
But like the Japanese version it's by Takeshi Miike.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. But it's much more like reserved. He actually like, you know, he handles it like fairly well. Yeah, Darth Gojira. One Missed Call is incredible. It's very effective, very kind of like slow burn again. It could be a little bit too long. I think it's about getting on for 2 hours, I believe. But gotcha. It can feel a bit long, but it is very, very, effective. And the endings, and also there's something overall that I like about a lot of these movies. They're very tragic movies, and this is very tragic. One Missed Call gets very tragic in the end.
I'll have to check it out again.
Yeah,
so many freaking movies that I need to see.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because I remember when I first bought all of that like stuff like from the shop. That was another one that I saw. I was like, oh, one missed call. What's that? I don't know. Sort of thing. Like, you know, and I picked it up like later for like 20 pence, which is probably
Yeah.
like 50 cents, something like that. So I was just
That's
like,
freaking
buy
awesome.
that one. Yeah. Yeah, no, I really liked it. It's another one where it's another one of those like technology run by ghosts kind of stories. Really interesting premise, and it does it really well. The middle part can kind of like sag a little bit, I found, like when I watched it again, but it is very good. And also as well, my favorite memory of that movie is I watched it with a friend of mine at university,
Yeah.
and we're having a horror movie night together because it was near Halloween, and it was just us in the house. And the ringtone, I don't if chat remembers the ringtone from the Japanese version. We just watched it, and she was like, "Oh, that was really creepy," and I was like, "Oh yes, I'm just gonna go to the toilet quickly." So of course, me being the asshole that I am, I start putting it on my phone, finding it on YouTube, and like I close the door and I just start. I press it. I like put it up to a vent, sort of thing. So all into the house, going through it, you can just hear the ringtone, and she's like freaking out, sort of thing. And she's screaming, she's like, "James, stop it!" Sort of thing. This screeching sort of thing, because she was horrified by that ringtone. And yeah, the red candy as well. The red candy is really good. Like it's a very good motif sort of thing throughout the movie. There's some really good motifs throughout the movie. Really interesting. Matt, you would like it, I think.
They made a number of sequels to that too, did they not?
They made 2 and a final one. Like, I think there's 3 movies.
Okay, gotcha. I'll have to write that again. I'll have to write that down. I feel like Bryce tonight. You know, Professor Kaiju. He's always like,
Yeah.
no,
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's definitely one that I hear brought up quite a bit. The other one I wanted to bring up just real quick was Dark Water by Nakata.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I've seen Dark Water.
Another Koji,
I don't know how I forgot it.
yeah, another Koji Suzuki adaptation, but brings back a lot of the crew from the Ring series to work on that.
Yeah. Novel's very good as well. Short story. It's a short story, but it's actually pretty good.
Is it
story.
pretty good?
Like, yeah, pretty good. The translation's very well done. That whole book as well, because the whole series is called Dark Water in the book, but it's really good book. Like his actual other short stories are pretty interesting as well. But Dark Water itself is very, very well done.
Have any of the other short stories been adapted into any other media?
They're too short. They're like little like snippets of stories, or like they're self-contained. Like they'd be short movies if they were.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Dark Water is another one I know that comes up a lot. It's one of the ones that, in my opinion, just it manages to get some of that old Ring magic a little bit. It has the atmosphere.
And for me as well, it's the tragedy meets the horror.
Like
the little girl, like that whole thing, like the bit when like it's scary, like when she turns around and she goes, "Mama," and I was like, "Whoa!" Like that totally got me. I was like freaking out. I like leapt through my seat. Like I think I was watching it on my bed and like almost fell out of bed just like when she goes, "Mama," I'm like, "Oh, Jesus Christ," sort of thing. It's horrifying. Yeah.
It's the American remake was awful, as I'm sure you probably know. The only good thing about it was Jennifer Connelly, because Jennifer Connelly's a babe and she's amazing and everything. But
true.
It still was a bad movie. But highly recommend people go check that one out. And yeah, it's good shit. Is there any Korean horror? I know I'm kind of jumping around here a little bit. Is there any Korean horror movies that you'd recommend? Of course, I'm at this point. The chat's gonna be like, "Have you seen this one?" I'm like, "Nope." What about this? Nope. You know, well, I got 2 I can recommend, but
yeah. Well, there's Caught the Short is saying Shutter is another good one.
Oh yeah. I heard that was good.
And I think there's a Dark Water animated TV series. Thanks, Paul Taquette, for that. And
different Dark Water, Paul, not the Pirates of Dark Water.
Oh, okay.
Oh man.
Oh, The Eye is one.
Eye, but The Eye is Chinese.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's really good.
Though.
There's a really good. Sorry, Matt. I'm going to plug another YouTube channel on your YouTube channel. But there's this really, really good channel called, I believe, it's Accented Cinema.
It's funny. That's the second time that this has been brought up in 2 live streams, and I was just watching one of this guy's videos today.
Yeah, and he did a video about The Eye, and he's Chinese as well, so like he kind of goes deep into the sort of like theology of The Eye, and it's a very once again horror and tragedy movie kind of mixed together.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, the eye. Very. Don't worry, Darth Gojira, it's fine. Sometimes these movies are so similar they blend into one, or they're advertised in the West kind of poorly. I find because there's some movies that I watch that I'm like, I can't tell if this is Korean or Japanese or Chinese because it's just not. It's just kind of all given Asian horror. There's no it's presented as Asian horror to the West sort of thing.
Right.
But then when you watch it, it's like, oh, they're Japanese. Or there was, in terms of K horror, apart from the Ring virus, and there was a movie called Phone, and there was another movie.
I was not a fan of Phone back in the day.
No, it wasn't very good. No, and obviously there's been recent ones like Chore, Rainy Chore. I've seen Chore. That was a good one. The Host as well.
Rainey seems to have a thing about giant mutant killer pig movies because she also likes Razorback, which is
Razorback's great though.
No, I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not, but it's just funny coming from her because she reviewed Razorback way back in the day, so it's just funny.
Okay.
I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny.
Also as well, there's a new Chinese one about a killer boar.
Is there really?
Well. Yeah, there's a Chinese one coming out. China. So I think. There's someone on Twitter that I follow. I think Kyoke or someone like that. I think she's like Japanese American or something like that. Okay. And she just spammed me one time on Twitter like a load of bad Chinese monster movies. And I went through this whole playlist of just bad Chinese monster movies. I'm like they're higher quality than the Asylum movies. So they're stupid as the Asylum movies, but they've got money thrown at them. So they look really good. And I kind of want to get back in. I want to get into them. I'm like, this is my new niche. Bad Chinese horror movies.
You become the foremost expert about bad Chinese monster movies.
Oh God, yeah.
There's got to be somebody. An expert on
Someone's got to fill the role. But yeah, we got Whispering Corridors. That's another good one.
I haven't seen that one. Big surprise.
Heard good things. Yeah. Not seen it myself.
I tried to watch The Wailing and I just I couldn't get into it. I don't know what it was. The one I think we might have talked about it before. Have you seen A Tale of Two Sisters?
Years ago.
Yeah.
And I have I don't know what happened to my memory, but too many Nomi Hordais, I guess. After university, there's so many black spots that I don't remember. So I probably watched it at university, and then I did something went out drinking afterwards, and I was like, I forgot it, sort of thing.
That's one of those that you always see topping the list of K horror movies or something.
Yeah.
I checked it out either last year or 2018, somewhere in there, and it has to be. This is going to sound like a negative, but it has to be one of the slowest movies I've ever seen. The slowest of slow burn, right? But I'm so glad that I decided to watch it because it really is a beautiful movie. It's a beautifully done movie. And anybody who's into the, not just J horror and K horror, but the Asian kind of horror film scene, they really did a fantastic job with that one. And it's just really, I've only seen it once and I felt like I absorbed a lot in it, but I have heard that through multiple viewings, it just gets more and more entertaining, that's one I would definitely recommend for people.
Yeah. I guess I've seen some teen scream stuff. K horror. This is I've seen The Cat and Cello, and they're kind of very generic, very generic. That's the thing. I've got so much on my watch list, but the minute that I see teen scream, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I want to go through this,
right?
Just but I watch them anyway because it's it might be interesting. 99.9% of the time they're not, but I get through them. And I find something to enjoy. And that's my philosophy now. Try and find something to enjoy in every movie because there's going to be something.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Except if it's Godzilla 2014, but we don't talk about that.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm kidding. No, I need to. I really need to make a list. I need to go when this all is said and done. I'll go back in the chat and actually come up with a list of movies.
Yeah.
For people to watch. And it's funny too because this book I was going to recommend to everybody to check out has all the movies that they're talking about along with the ones that we are, and it is J Horror by David Collette. David Collette is a guy who's done the commentary tracks for the Arrow Gamma box set for the Criterion Godzilla collection. He wrote a critical history and filmography of Godzilla of Touhou's Godzilla series, which is one of the best books written about the subject. But you can pick this up on Amazon for pretty cheap. It's a really great freaking read, and I highly recommend it for anybody out there who's wanting to learn more about this stuff.
But then I think our audience tonight is pretty well versed.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, again, the wrong people. Maybe somebody will see this on a replay and they're like, oh,
maybe.
But everyone's like, I've seen that. Give me the Japanese books, like they're like translating it or something like that.
We got some Indian horror. Yeah, that is actually something that I've not seen 13B, but Netflix is putting out some good Indian horror.
Is that on Netflix?
Maybe not in Japan, but it might be in the West. I don't know. I'd have to check. Yeah, there's some really good Indian horror out there. I was actually watching a TV show which was basically like urban legends from Indian kind of history, and there were some really creepy episodes. Creepy episodes. That is actually pretty well done. India's coming up with some good stuff. Africa as well. I believe it was Africa. There was a movie called. And I've just forgotten it. It's called because it kind of has a generic name. It has a very generic name. It's like what is it? Hold on.
Let's see. Indian horror, huh? Says Gojiro fan 54.
Yeah, no. Hold on. I'm trying to find an African horror movie because there was. It was like called The Something.
Wasn't His House, was it?
No, it was like the name of a house. Nah, it's gone, man. It's gone.
That sucks.
I feel so bad because it was actually quite a good movie.
What is it about?
Hold on. It's basically like a haunted house thing, set in a sort of high-rise apartment sort of thing.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Now I gotta look this up. I don't even care if the chat is just gonna be watching us like go on.
Yeah. I'm desperate because I want to recommend it because it looked really good and it was quite interesting.
And if somebody in the chat can tell us what we're looking for, because there was this movie called His House that just debuted on Netflix. I believe has two African actors and they're like refugees to London. And the guy that was the Doctor Who after David Tennant was in it.
Oh, Matt Smith.
Yeah.
I
just didn't know if that was like the thing. What is this? 8? Yeah, dude, I don't know.
No, it wasn't His House. It was like it was like the name of it was like the condominium or the something, like, you know, it's like something about the place itself.
Gotcha.
And I literally had it in my mind, and now it's just popped.
What'll suck is like later in the day for you, you know, all of a sudden it'll click.
Yeah.
Dang it.
The morning, yeah. I'll probably be that. Like, I would message you on like Facebook, like Matt, it was this. Sort of thing. Yeah. Oh no, they've taken it off Japanese Netflix as well, so I can't even find it. I can't even find it again.
That sucks.
I can't even find it again. God damn. Okay.
Let's see here. I have not done Indian horror movies. Me neither. Well, damn it, James. That's what we should have done tonight. We should have talked about Indian horror movies. And everyone was like, well, what are Indian horror movies? And we're like, well, let's try to tell you.
My experience has been purely through Netflix. And honestly, like I will say, like, for all of like Netflix's faults and like maybe lack of programming, they especially, I guess, like for the English, like British Netflix, they do have a lot of really interesting stuff on there, like Indian, African kind of like shows that you would never be able to see elsewhere. So if you have a VPN, check out the UK Netflix, because there are some very interesting things on there that you might not be able to access elsewhere.
I'd like to do that. I really would. I am not very fond of American Netflix here. I do know that we picked up some foreign stuff. but you really have to deep dive into there to actually like find it, because they're never going to like throw it up on the front pages or anything. But there was actually, if I'm not mistaken, there was an Indian zombie series or something that they recently were pushing out there or something.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about that. Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but you know.
Yeah, no, I've seen some stuff about that, and it does look pretty good. Like, you know, trying to find an example of something that could be good to watch.
Well, we can ask the chat too.
Yeah, like I've got.
They've had like a ton of recommendations
already.
Do you guys have? I was going to ask if you have any questions for us too, but I have a feeling we're going to have more questions for you guys than you're going to have for us. Is there any recommendations that you guys could talk about? Because I'd really want to see this 13B thing. I'm like, especially since he's like saying that it has a feeling like a J or K horror movie, which I really like. Let's see here.
There's this. Sorry, just to butt in here. There's a Netflix series called Betal, and it's a Indian series. That is, I think it's the zombie thing you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's right.
Yeah, Betal. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I've seen some stuff, and even stuff like Bulbul. That's it's like a period piece. It's kind of like got that kind of traditional kind of vibe to it. Like, you know, it's very, very dark as well. But also kind of colourful and pretty. Like, you know, it kind of does a lot with colour. But like the story is kind of dark. Gotcha.
Have you seen Versus?
That's been on my list as well. I've got it on DVD in England.
Okay. I'm looking at the
Who was the director?
Kitamura, the guy that did Final Wars. That's what most Godzilla fans know him as. He also did Origami, Alive,
Downrange.
Downrange, Midnight Meat Train.
I've seen Midnight Meat Train before.
The boys over at Kaiju Transmissions actually just cut a podcast about his filmography along with Kevin Derendorf that I have yet to listen to, but those guys always have something really good to say about. But Versus is a personal favorite of mine. Like, I really enjoy that. Let's see here. There we go.
I've seen. Hang on, have I got? I think I've got that on DVD. I think it's on DVD somewhere in my Tartan Asian Extreme. Once again, pulling through on that 30 pence DVD in the second-hand shop. I've got it at home in England. It's in my house in England. Not here with me in Japan.
Arrow is actually, I think it already came out in the UK, but I think we're getting, we being the US, is getting a release of it in December, which I'm super psyched about, because that's going to be a compilation, I think, of both the theatrical and the ultimate cut, along with all the extras and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I think I got the ultimate cut because people said it was better.
Yeah. He went George Lucas special edition on that thing. I prefer the original cut myself, but you know, it's always fun to see Tak Sakaguchi kicking more zombie ass.
Oh yeah.
It's a really fun Highlanders Evil Dead like take on it.
Yeah. I've heard it's pretty kinetic kind of thing. Like there's lots of energy in it, and it's all like hyper stylized, kind of like GE Final Wars. You know, like Godzilla Final Wars, where it's all just like frantic, kind of like. I love Final Wars, so yeah.
yeah. No, I think you and I are the only people on the planet that actually enjoy Final Wars.
Yeah.
It's not a popular subject.
Let's have a look. Whatever you do, James, do not watch The Greasy Strangler. Oh, controversial.
I didn't bring it up. You did. I wasn't even going to highlight that comment because it's always brought up. Yes.
I haven't watched it yet. I will ignore all warnings, and I will watch it when I am eating. I see it.
Okay. I just wanted to show you.
I see it, Matt. Don't worry. I know all about your obsession.
It's great. Now my camera's really all fucked up.
Oh no.
All right. Well, we'll just go.
Okay.
That's something.
Godzilla Earth just poking out in the corner there.
Yeah. We'll just stick with this. Why not? I like how I'm like showing you. You're like, yeah, Matt. I've been to all the live streams. I've seen this already. It's nothing new. It's not funny anymore. I don't know how you'd like it. I don't know if it's something I'd recommend. It's one of those weird movies too that people like. The they're like, oh, it's a horror movie because there's like blood and guts, but it's like
Yeah, but it's not like genuine horror. It's like, I guess, is it like, like Brain Dead, that, or Dead Alive as you call it in America, like that kind of slapsticky kind of like, it's gory and gruesome, but it's kind of just so over the top and silly.
Yeah.
Have you seen Dead Alive?
That's the Peter Jackson one, right, with the monkey?
Yeah.
Years and years and years ago. Remember like next to nothing about it. I would say that's probably a pretty apt comparison. I know they're not the same sort of movie, but it's just like so over the top. It's kind of very cartoony. It's totally Looney Tunes. I squeeze your neck and your eyeballs just
okay, yeah,
kind of stuff.
I could probably enjoy that.
But there's also other things in there that it's just like it's not for everybody. So
no, I get it. I'm gonna try doing it while eating something as well. Just to see if I can come back to you and be like, I did it while I was eating. It was the toughest thing ever, but I did it.
Have you seen the Corpse Party movies, James?
I've not seen the movies. I've seen the anime. I've seen a bit of the anime, but I've not seen the Corpse Party movies. They are on my list, as always. On my list. Everything is on my list at the moment. So yeah, no, definitely. But I know about Corpse Party and I know about the sort of ins and outs of it. So that's something that I will check out.
Yeah, you and I are going to have a lot of checking out to do.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and wrap up this stream, or do you want to field a couple more questions? What do you think?
I don't mind keeping going for a little longer.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Chat, ask James some questions, or James, what? Go ahead.
Oh no, I just saw earlier in the chat people were talking about the Touhou Horrors, the your Matangos and your Beauty and the Liquid H-Men stuff, and I want to cause some controversy, so I kind of want to talk about those movies. I kind of want to talk about those movies, and then we will get into questions and stuff like that. I'm sure, Matt, you're in control of this, so yeah.
No.
You
are the guest here. Whatever you would like to do, but I would I think I would like to talk about these movies.
Yeah, I just saw them mentioned at the very, very beginning. So I was wondering if the people in chat, what they thought about the movies, like those sort of like the Touhou original series. Because the thing is, as well, they've just come out on Netflix here in Japan. Like they've just released the H-Men, the Invisible Man, and like the Vapor Man and stuff like that. They've released that whole series on Netflix here.
When you're talking about the Invisible Man, is that the one by the director of Godzilla Raids Again, where
that one.
Where what is it? He's an invisible man who's also a cop that has to dress up as a clown to try to solve a murder.
Yeah,
right?
Pretty much.
And everyone, I remember like making fun of that movie like way long time ago, and I had all these people get mad at me. They're like, "It's a terrific movie. It's amazing," and I'm like,
"Yeah."
You can't even laugh at the anyways.
No, I know. Yeah, but I like I say, haven't watched all of them, but I watched Beauty and the Liquid Men, the H-Man, and I've seen Matango. Oh no! What boring movies. Sorry, Rainy.
Matango is silly and great, and we got Matango is amazing. Matango is horror, but I don't consider H-Man Human Vapor that much horror.
I think there's horror. I think it's gothic more than horror. Like definitely like the bit on the ship. Like this is talking about Human Vapor when they're on a ship and like the blob monster. Like that's really interesting actually. So when I was a wee young little lad, probably about 4 or 5, I remember watching like on TV. I remember seeing there was this giant green blob creature and it just melted people. And like it burnt into my mind like this image of like these screaming people being turned into like goo. And like it comes back to me every now and then. I was like, what was that movie? And I like searched it up. And then I finally watched it. I was like, this is it. This is the one. Like this is the movie. It came on all those years ago. So yeah, finally it was like that kind of movie. And I was disappointed by the rest of it. It kind of like the thing about the H-Man or the H-Men, it sold itself as like a noir movie with horror elements, which a lot of those movies do. They're like noir with horror, but the flat kind of direction that Honda does and the cinematography, it doesn't feel like a noir movie. So it feels just very like straight to like the point, kind of like documentary sort of style.
I would have to agree with you on that. The scene that you're talking about on the boat, especially in H-Man, was the creepiest thing about that movie. I feel like if that movie had been stacked together with other things of that nature, that caliber, I would have really enjoyed it. And I know I'm going to get crapped on, and I know that maybe this isn't really a very popular thing to say, but I found the H-Man, the Human Vapor, and Matango to be boring, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's not to sit here and say like people that enjoy it shouldn't enjoy it and stuff. But
no.
one of the reasons why I think I have a hard time really kind of being drawn to some of the older stuff, especially some of the older J-horror stuff that like people keep on talking about. Some of these movies just are very slow, and I can't oftentimes bring myself to be like, oh, they're amazing, because I'm not personally entertained by them. I will always give them credit if I think they deserve credit. But those particular movies, especially Matango, like I wanted to like Matango. I wanted to love Matango, in fact. But like the thing that just sticks out of my mind, the worst piece of editing ever seen is when they're all
with the mushroom guy, and then
and then he fades away. And when it cuts to the next morning, they're like, "Oh man, that was pretty weird, huh?" And they're eating breakfast.
Isn't that crazy?
And no, go ahead. Sorry.
And then all of a sudden, I felt like there's people talking about like the mental breakdown between the team, but I never felt that. I never felt it. Like it just felt like, oh, you're a whore sort of thing. Like you're a whore. You like to sleep with people. You're a very nice, pretty girl, and we're all going to try and get on you, sort of thing. And it felt like the basic kind of things were happening,
totally.
like and then all of a sudden, like it's like they're all eating the mushrooms, and now they're going crazier, and it's just like I felt like there was no like escalation. It's just like you said, like it happened, and then suddenly things were happening even further, and then the escalation got to the point where like they're in the forest and everyone's like walking, like the mushrooms are walking around, and it's just I did read the original short story it was based on. That was really good.
Was it
really good, really creepy, because it takes like the whole framing device is he's telling his story in the prison cell,
right?
Which, by the way, fantastic set, because all the stuff outside the background is like a set, like it's not a real city.
Yeah.
So like that whole set design is amazing, but it's just not used to a full effect. And but anyway, going to the short story, it's a guy on a boat, and he's like, "Don't go this way. Don't go on this island. Like the mushrooms, it took my wife," and stuff like that. And then you just kind of see you see like the mishapenness in the fog. You never see full on, like it's really creepy, really like gothic kind of 1800s, like 1900s kind of like romantic gothic vibe. Really interesting story. Very self-contained. It's just people talking through on their boats kind of thing. And then you just carry.
I was just sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, like, and then they part their ways, and it's kind of like they have this haunting kind of. It's just this haunting kind of tale, which I thought was very interesting.
I'd like to read that, and I was actually about to say something. Then Gojira Fan 54 just took the words right out of my mouth. Matango should honestly get a remake. I think that would be super interesting. I feel like that the premise has a lot of fertile ground to explore, and I feel like Touhou could do something pretty good. There was that apparently there was an American remake that had been looked at by, I forget what big director or producer was looking at it.
As per.
Yeah. But they were looking at exploring the idea of potentially remaking it, and then Touhou just apparently squashed that or something.
Yeah.
Ed Godchevsky and Steve Reifel found that when they were doing their research for their Honda biography, I think.
Oh, nice one.
But it was, and this is like maybe 2005-ish, 2015, something like that. But Matango is something like I've met very few people that don't like that movie. Most people love it. Like they just and which is fine. But I just kind of wish I could get into it like everybody else, because they don't just like it; they love it.
No. Yeah, I get why. Like, there's an atmosphere to it. There is an atmosphere, and there is a palpable kind of thing behind them, but it never manifests itself to me. Like,
I agree.
I think as well. Like, I never experienced these movies as a kid, because a lot of them, like some of them I did, but a lot of them I couldn't, because in the UK we didn't have the access to it. Touhou and that kind of just were like, we're looking the other way, on the other side of the Pacific, not over the Atlantic, if you know what I mean. Right. So they just skipped England a lot for this kind of stuff. So like a lot of it is like I got a lot of hyperbolic kind of buzz on, like, like Matango's fantastic, Matango's great, like I watch it, it's amazing, it's a horror masterpiece, like, and then when you finally watch it, it's like overhyped. And it's the same kind of, because I see people mentioning Godzilla 54 and stuff about being like Godzilla being horror. Like, you know, people.
Somebody even mentioned Alien in too. They felt the same way about that.
Which one, say?
Somebody said that they felt the same way about Alien. How it was just
yeah.
very overrated, and they just find it very boring.
Yeah, and then I've had like the opposite, because obviously I'm kind of younger as well, like, you know, so I've kind of been growing up with the internet sort of thing, and like being able to access this stuff now. And it's like, I think I mentioned to you before, Matt, like, you know, one of the more controversial choices of recent years has been like Godzilla versus Space Godzilla.
Yep.
And talking about hyperbolic reactions, like, you know, like people were like, I hate it. It's the worst Godzilla movie. Never watch it. It's terrible. And then I watched it. I was like, that was kind of fun. I'm sorry. I loved it.
You to know that to this day, and I love it so much. You are the only person I've ever heard say that they actually have a small love for that movie, and I love it so much.
I'm sorry, Matt. No. It's not small. It's not a small love. It's not a small love. It's actually quite a big love. I quite enjoy it. It's like if you told me, right, if you told me to sit down and force me to watch a movie, and you gave me Godzilla versus Mothra, The Battle for Earth, and Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, I'm gonna go for Space Godzilla. I have more fun with it. There's more of a vibe with it. And I know it's the controversial choice. Nobody really likes it. But also as well, Monsters vs. Men podcast liked it as well. So it's like, it's finally like, yes, finally, representation. Validation. But that's kind of going off topic in a way. But it's kind of, I want to go back to Godzilla in a way, because people are talking once again about like Godzilla 54 being a horror movie. How do you feel about that, Matt, yourself? Do you think it's a horror movie?
I think there can be, you know, that the atmosphere, the sense of dread, that kind of thing. And, you know, inherently, because it is a monster movie per se, it could be classified in that genre, even though it might not be full on horror, you know? I think, you know, posed with that question, I think that's more of a horror movie than like Matango is. I think a better... You know, it just does things better than Matango does. But I've never actually actively classified it as a horror movie, but I can see why people do.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. There's a film channel from England that I follow called Dark Corners Reviews, and they did like this tally up for Halloween a few years ago, and actually Godzilla 54 won as the top horror movie against The Thing.
Wow.
Of all movies, yeah. And like people were voting. I was voting in it as well. And like, you know, so, and people were saying like, because everyone thought, oh, it's gonna be the big hitter. It's gonna be and then like 54 won. But it's because it's, once again, it's the reevaluation of it in modern day context and what we know from history now to now.
Exactly.
And even then, like, other movies in the franchise have got horror elements or gothic elements, like Terror of Mechagodzilla has like a gothic atmosphere, and it's very Frankenstein-y. It's very romantic gothic, and I love that kind of stuff. Like, you know, I don't like the movie overall, but like I really don't like Terror of Mechagodzilla. I've tried 3 times to watch it, and I just went, I can't do it.
But it's like, funny how similar our tastes are than how similar our tastes are not. You know, I love it, because I feel the same way about Terror. You know,
yeah. The gothic element itself prevalent, like, you know, like the lonely sort of lost girl with like the weird powers, and like that opening shot when she's looking over like on the rocks, it's so like gothic. It is just like a gothic movie. Like, you would be thinking you're watching like a Hammer movie if it wasn't then suddenly Titanosaurus like screeching and blowing up the submarine. You know what I mean?
You know, flying across the screen or whatever.
God, yeah.
Yeah, there are elements in there that I would agree with. I mean, you could throw 84 in there.
Oh God, yeah.
Biollante, maybe.
That's got a lot of elements in there.
Most definitely. You know,
Hedorah.
That most certainly too.
That is definitely horror.
But 54, I can see why people would consider that a horror movie, and honestly, I don't know. It's a really interesting question. I saw this from Daniel. This was just Ring. Was Ring better than Ringu? The word on the street was Ringu was better. I thought the final scene in Ringu was better. The close-up of the eye freaked me out, but Ring was better in my opinion.
That's what I hear too. Matt, you've watched both versions, so you take that one.
I actually like both. I think that the American version actually pays enough respect and did enough things that were a little bit different to enhance, the story. It's just like with we barely touched on it, but it's just like with the Ring virus, which is the Korean remake of the first Ring movie, basically. But they take more elements from the novel than the Japanese or the American movie.
Yes, they do.
Right?
They do. Yeah.
I think all three of those films actually are quite good on their own merits, honestly. But if you were to put a gun to my head, I'd probably would take Ringu over The Ring. And apparently, I don't know if you've ever heard this. I just found out that apparently calling it Ringu is a bit of a controversy or something.
Yeah, well, it's because in like katakana Japanese, which is what it is, they sometimes drop the end of the last phonic. So like they say like obviously say tomato here, tomato, but sometimes they'll drop it and say tomat with no o at the end. I don't know why.
Gotcha.
So with ring, calling it ringu is kind of like saying it very like phonetically. Like
Gotcha.
ring, so people say ring with a slight at the end. So they kind of just say it like ring, but
Gotcha.
with a bit more of a Japanese
You just stick
pronunciation.
with Ring, then, you know what I mean? But
Yeah, that's what I call it. Yeah.
even the Arrow collection, that was released last year, calls it Ringu. So
It's just because of the translation, because of like the katakana, it's gu, the
Yeah.
symbol for gu. So they just put it at the end. So it's like I think it's a clear difference between what it is, sort of thing.
totally.
And it just makes it really confusing now because then like you've got like za ring and then ring in Japanese, so it's like za ring. And I saw za ring the other day. It's like yeah.
There's how many? Hold on, I got it up here. I was just wondering how many Ring movies there are total. Okay, so we got Ring, Rasen, Ring 2, Ring 0, Sadako 3D, 3D 2, Sadako versus Kayako, and then Sadako. And then the remakes, which was The Ring, Rings, the short film, The Ring 2, and then Rings, the feature. So, yeah, I've seen all but 1, 2, 3 of those, actually.
Yeah, and then there's also the TV. I've seen a couple of the TV made-for-TV movies as
right.
well.
That's
Because
right.
those are really like the books. Like they go into everything from the books, and they go into the craziness. They go into the weirdness. They go into the Sadako kind of. That's the weird thing about the book. Sadako's sexy in the books. I'm like,
Well, she's not just sexy. There's something else going on with Sadako too in there.
Yeah. I'm just like,
yeah. We've talked about the Greasy Strangler, but we won't say anything more about what Sadako really is.
No.
There is some bizarre things in the book. I think that people should check it out though. There's enough in the book to check out.
Yeah, it's very, very different. Very, very different. Daniel's Attic says, so which Ring should I check out next? I've only saw the first films. It depends on your taste. Like Razin, I liked Razin because it was very close, because it's close to the books, but the books are very different to the movies.
Yeah.
So if you've seen like the first Ring movie, I like the Japanese version, I would just go straight to the Ring 2 because that's more like the first movie. Squishy F554, Sadako, sexy, FBI, open up. But no. In the novel, she's like 20 years old, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Just to clarify. But yeah,
I would stick with the Nakata film. So Ring 2, and then go on with Ring 0, and then probably call it good there. I personally do like Rosin. I think it's different, and for those of you who don't know, James talked about this a little bit before. But when Ring came out, it was also, I believe, at the same time Rosin was released. So you had the first movie and the sequel there, right? And then the sequel wasn't very popular, so they made a sequel to, a real sequel to the first movie. So there's like different timelines and stuff. And then I heard like the Sadako 3D films or something are supposed to be in the Rosin timeline.
Yeah, that's it.
Like what?
It doesn't make any sense.
Do those two movies like reference Rosin at all, or
they do? They do. The follow up to Raz, like Sadako 3D, as bad as it is, it does follow up from Razin, and then Sadako 3D 2 follows up from that timeline. So it's like two separate timelines. Then a Kata timeline, and then the book timeline. which are just
so weird.
Totally removed
I'm gonna have to see these movies because I didn't know that. I thought it was just like, oh yeah, it's like, you know, Highlander 2 or like Highlander 3 follows Highlander 2 when it really doesn't, you know. Like,
no. And also as well, one thing I will say is music in Razin is really good.
The music in the films period are really good.
Yeah, no.
Kwai.
Yeah, no. I like, honestly, like the Razin, like the theme, like the piano theme is genuinely really beautiful and haunting. Like, you know, listening to it is really good. And of course, all like the discordant kind of nature of the music from the mainline Ring movies is fantastic. Like, you know, like the screechy violin and stuff like that is really good.
The sound design in those movies, again, it's so much adds to the atmosphere and just that overwhelming sense of dread that those movies have. You know?
Yeah, just like when they pick up the phone and you just hear that violin screech. And you don't need, like, you know, like everyone goes like, there's the whole like, 7 days, but it never happens. It never happens the 7 days in the movie sort of thing. That's like a joke, like, you know. And then they did it in like those scary movie parody things of it, like, you know.
Scary movies.
I do love that parody.
Have you seen Scary Movie 3?
Yeah, Cindy, the TV's leaking.
Yeah.
This bitch messing up my floor. It's so stupid. I love it. Yeah, it's so stupid. I love it. I can't help it.
I'm sorry, it's not Ring related, but I love when he's like, the dogs are acting funny, and then it like cuts to the dogs, and it's like a Roman chariot race or something, and then dogs on a bong. It's just like,
yeah. But I think that it was like, you know, like that zeitgeist, like, you know, is in the zeitgeist at the times, and it did parodied very well. Like, you know,
it really did. It really did. Ring books. What should I read? Start with the first one. I'm personally not a fan of the follow-ups. I stopped early. James has read almost all of them.
Yeah.
Except for the last one, which you're still
Yeah.
Would you recommend him to get into it?
What's that?
Would you recommend him to get into the books, to read the books?
It depends how, I don't know, like, it depends on like what your taste is. Like the later books just go crazy. If you want a good kind of, like, you know, it's like the first, like, Ring Zero, or Birthday as it's called, Ring and Ring, the Ring sequel book, Spiral, are a good set, like, you know, because if you read the first two books, Ring and Spiral, and then you read Ring Birthday, it's so confusing. Ring Birthday, it fills in some gaps from those two books. And then, so you don't really have to touch Loop, because Loop's just weird.
It's really weird. There's a reason why that's never been adapted into like a movie or a TV show or a manga. Go ahead. No, sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say that there's the Ring manga as well that I have not read myself, but
worth it. Totally worth it. I picked up all the American ones at one point. I since sold them all. I don't tend to reread manga very much, but I can't say that it's really worth checking out. They did. I know they did one that was more along the lines of the movie, but then they also did ones that were more along the lines of the books. Like their compilation of the birthday one was like of all the short stories that are in the actual book itself. So they did like Coffin in the Sky, if you remember that story in there. Like that that freaked me out, dude. Like, I don't know. It made me very uncomfortable. But that's what these things are meant to do. But if you can get your hands on that, that's another, I would say personally, I find that a little bit more entertaining because it has all the pictures as opposed to some of the books. Because like I said, I've only read the first two. I really like the first book. The second one I was okay with, and then Loop, and you know exactly what part in Loop that I quit at. It was the It's like I don't know what's going on here, but we're finished, you know. And
I get that
in a way that I'm like, okay, well that makes sense. But at the time, I'm like on an airplane, I'm just like, this is weird.
It's not the kind of thing you want to read.
A lot of things that we're censoring tonight about Sadako and Ring, I'm noticing, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways, let's see here. I'm just looking to see if there is any other. Here's one. I wish the RINGU had a horror anime. That would be kind of cool.
That'd be cool. Yeah. Just as well, Daniel Zadig said about like he enjoyed like Legion for The Exorcist. So yeah, you'd probably like the first novel. You'd probably like the first novel because the first novel is fairly grounded in reality and it starts going off. So just read Ring, the first novel Ring, and then try the second one if you like it. You might do.
Here's a question. And I have, and I probably already know the answer to this because of the fact that you do like the sequels. Do you feel things like Ring and Ju-on are kind of like a one take story that it doesn't benefit from sequels? I kind of feel that way with The Ring. I don't feel like any of the sequels were ever quite as powerful. That includes the movies as well as the books. But that's just my personal take. What do you think?
Well, my favorite movie is a sequel from the series.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's
I don't
probably
know.
a question to ask.
Oh, wait, hold on. Gojira Fan 54 said we need a kawaii Sadako. One moment.
Oh, snap! What do we got?
I get to do the thing where I show off my stuff.
Oh, hold on.
Kawaii.
Oh, that's awesome!
It's a bottle topper.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a little kawaii Sadako. I got it from the movie when it was released. Yeah, little kawaii Sadako.
It's super cool.
Yeah, so it's just a little bottle top screw cap thing. Hold on, I'll put it back. Okay, there you go.
That's awesome. Well, I think we should probably think about maybe wrapping this up. What do you think? We've gotten about 5.
Yeah, no, we did pretty well.
No, we did really well. I was shooting for an hour, but I think we had a pretty good chat. You know what this means, though, James? This means that you're going to have to come back for another stream, though.
Oh, right. I will agree to another stream. I will agree to another stream if I catch up on all of these movies that everyone's just thrown at us for the last hour 40 minutes.
We'll do Unmasking J horror for us rather than the actual.
Yeah. And then so we'll go in and we'll just go straight for something else. We'll just go straight in on it, and I will actually have seen all of these movies, and hopefully we can have more of a discussion about more than just Ring.
Right. But everybody has to start someplace, Of
course.
And I'm hoping that there might have been some people here tonight that actually got to learn something, got to hear about a movie or a manga, something. Not just us getting schooled.
Yeah. I was about to say, I think most of it, 90% of it was us going like, oh, I've never heard of that one.
Oh, yeah.
No. And also as well, before we wrap up, I've seen some people mentioning like Paul Tackett mentioned The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. Yes, love that movie.
Oh, never seen that one.
It's a Hammer Shaw Brothers, Chinese, UK combined thing. Really good, really good. Also as well, lots of people talking about the Vampire trilogy from Touhou. I think it was Touhou. And I love that kind of stuff because I'm British, so I grew up with Hammer horror and stuff like that. The Dracula, Christopher Lee movies. I love those sort of stuff. So yeah, I'll definitely check those out. They're on my watch list again. Naroi, Rainey, thank you again. I need to watch that. Definitely need to watch that. It's been on my watch list since I got into it. J horror. So yeah, definitely I will be checking all of that out. So yeah, thank you. And House, I have seen Gojira Fan 50. I have seen House, so that's fine. That's one that I have seen. There's one that I have seen. I promise. So yeah, but yeah, no. So thank you everyone for the osasumes, the recommendations.
Definitely. And James, where can people find you on the social if you'd like to pimp that out? And where can people go and find your books?
Well, I'm on Twitter, mainly Twitter. It's a personal Twitter. I am I'm just to say I'm not I'm just a normal guy. I'm not I'm not some big head and I don't know people down the street from Touhou, and I don't know the Dae, I don't know the Kadakawa people. So I don't know. I just like a lot of stuff on Twitter. So if you do want to follow me on Twitter and talk to me a bit more, or want to send me the recommendations, the Twitter handle is @JDJD1993, and my screen name is James Davies. So yeah.
Let me put that up there. I can actually write this.
Oh, okay.
It is JDJD 93?
1993.
1993.
My birthday.
Let me just see if this works. Let me see. Add banner. There we go. Except
yeah, there you go.
That's not for me. That's for James.
So yeah, and then my books are on Amazon. The only problem is I have a very generic name. The name James Davies is very generic. You have to go through several authors to find me. But I am on the Kindles. I am on the Kindle store. My books are called Agony, Dream Eater, The Bridge Beyond Time and Space, and A Dead Atlantis Rises. So those are my 4 books that I have released. So yeah, that's and they're all kind of a mix of genres. The first one is like a pulpy horror. The second one is more like psychedelic sci-fi, Michael Moorcock kind of stuff. I don't know if you know Michael Moorcock.
No, I'm not familiar with him.
He's like a fantasy sci-fi writer. He did the writing for the band Hawkwind.
Okay.
Brandon Tendall's done a review of the movie The Final Program based off one of his novels. Really fantastic novels.
You still there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, weird. Like you froze and then I cut out there. Like we had a hiccup in the Matrix or something.
Or there's something. Or something's about to crawl through my TV screen.
Yeah, yo.
Oh no!
Is your
no!
Anyway, sorry about that. What?
Yeah. The third one's like a more traditional kind of like British horror kind of like Hammer horror style kind of thing, and then the last one is actually set in Japan, and it's more of like a thriller along the lines of like it's like kind of a revenge thriller, kind of along the lines of like Old Boy and that kind of stuff. Like it's more like the drama thriller. It's not exactly like Old Boy, but it's the closest thing I could think of.
That's awesome. And by the way, Paul, thank you so much. Great stream. You donated $2. Appreciate it, Paul. And Paul, I think you donated another $2 earlier. Really means a lot. We really appreciate you guys joining us here tonight. Go check out James's works. Go get them on the Kindle. Go follow him on the Twitter. He's an awesome guy. I've gotten to know him. We've known each other for like a year, a little bit more.
Yeah, it's 2019. We had a chat. Yeah.
But we've had many chats about just Japan, J-horror, and tokusatsu, and and I know you're going to think I'm kissing your butt here, but I love the fact that you say things like you love Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, and this is something a long-standing thing I have always said. I love hearing those kinds of opinions the most because it just diversifies the conversation that much more. And I'm never ever going to be like, oh man, your taste is so bad. I would love, like, I think that we should actually maybe do an appreciation stream or something at some point on that. I think it'd be kind of fun because I personally am not the movies fan, but at the same time, if there's a way to look at it a little bit differently, especially through the eyes of somebody who actually quite enjoys it, I think there's some really worthwhile things in there. Personally.
Yeah, and I mean, if you could get like the guys from like Monsters vs. Men on my side as well, so we could have like tag team battle, see who wins out on the Space Godzilla debate.
Like a fight or something. It's like going to be free. We'll get actually, MVM needs to come on here because like I've been meaning to bring them on here actually, so that might actually be kind of the Space Godzilla brawl, or just switchblades and going, so anyways, look, here we go. Please bring them back. You are awesome. So
I'll be happy to come back anytime, and definitely once I've seen more J horror and any sort of Asian horror, we'll definitely have to catch up at some point.
Well, I thank you so much for coming in, James. And for all you guys at home watching us, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Sorry, it wasn't like it was fun. It was fun. We got scolded a lot, but I hope we were able to give some interesting conversation for you guys. But please pay attention to the channel, and you can go check out all this new stuff that we got coming out pretty soon. Follow us on Twitter at Tokusatsu Vlog. And with that said, for Godzilla's sake, or in this case, Sadako's sake, keep watching Tokusatsu and J-horror for the good of mankind and yourselves, or else she's going to come out of the TV and kill you after 7 days. So take care, guys, and we will go ahead and see you later.
See you, everybody.